New York Congressman Joe Crowley is chairman of the House Democratic group on some of these issues. I want to ask you, what is the most important thing for Congress to do, and should it be in response this quickly to this incident, this murder? If not now, when? We've seen so many tragic events like this happen over the past few years. It's becoming numbing, quite frankly. There have been as many mass casualty shootings days of the year, as many days in the year. There's almost as many mass casualty shootings, almost matching the number of days in the year so far. So if not now, when are we going to actually try to tackle this issue? And I do think that we need to move towards a real bipartisan effort here. You know, bring in the NRA, bring in everyone in. Let's have a really frank conversation, a family talk. Well, do you think what we can do? Do you think you and your fellow Democratic advocates of gun control seem to have lost some of the framing on this? If you're being accused of saying, "Oh, you only want this now," it's not as if Republicans aren't moving forward on gun issues, right? There's this whole silencer debate we're hearing about, and I want to play for your benefit of response and for our viewers, the president's own son, Don Jr., in a promotional video on this issue. Take a look at this.
You gotta be kidding me.
That thing's awesome. It's about safety. It's about hearing protection. It's a health issue, frankly, for me. You know, getting little kids into the game, it greatly reduces recoil. I mean, it's just a great instrument. There's nothing, there's nothing bad about it at all. It makes total sense. It's where we should be going.
Getting little kids into the game, it's a health issue. There's nothing bad about it at all. Your response?
It's actually heading in the exact opposite direction. How much longer would it have taken law enforcement to identify this particular shooter, Mr. Paddock, had he had silencers? We just don't know. This is not the debate that we should be having right now. It's incredibly insensitive, if we ever should have it at all, quite frankly. And I think that really the time right now is to, if there was some other disease happening, or if there was if there was food contamination, if there was an auto safety issue, we would be calling a special hearing by the Congress to investigate those things. But when it comes to gun safety, it's almost so sacrosanct we can't even have a discussion about it. There's almost a gag rule here in Congress in discussing these issues, and that's what we're looking to lift here in Washington, and to do it in a sincere, sympathetic, empathetic way, and understanding all the ramifications, and try to listen to all sides on this, but to come to some kind of solution. Too many innocent people are dying because of this. And I think Republicans and Democrats, we can come together, certainly on this issue, and find real ways to find real solutions to prevent as many deaths as possible when it comes to gun violence.
You said that there shouldn't be a gag order. I want you to hang with me here, and I want to add someone who's worked on these issues a lot. Mike Lupica from the New York Daily News. He's got a new column about the gun control debate. I want to read from that. You say, we can't wait for the gunfire to stop, because it doesn't. Maybe we could have the conversation while the next active shooter is reloading. Tough talk, and you say it's necessary. Why?
Ari, that was the thing yesterday in the aftermath of this tragedy that I think made reasonable people's heads explode. The idea that this wasn't a good time to have this conversation. This wasn't the day to have this conversation. Okay, all the people who say that, pick a day. Pick a day. The rest of us, when they think it's appropriate to talk about 59 innocent Americans getting gunned down and 500 more getting wounded. There's a false equivalency that goes on all the time in this debate. Well, this guy passed background checks. Oh, okay. So we should leave everything the way it is until the next guy who didn't pass a background check shoots up people in the United States. This country's become a killing field. And the idea that it's working, that our laws are working, is dumb as rocks.
Congressman, I think I saw you nodding. Go ahead.
Well, there's no question. I think Mike remembers the same argument was made after Newtown, that it wasn't the time. This isn't the time to talk about it. You know, when innocent children are slaughtered in their school, when young people attending a concert, an open-air concert in Las Vegas, are literally slaughtered
That's not the right time to talk about what we can do to stop or mitigate this public health disaster that's going on in our country. If not now, when? That's the question I ask. And Mike, I agree with you 100%. Tell us when to have the conversation, but let's have the conversation.
And so, Congressman and then Mike, respond to this question. How do you draw the line to deal with the weapons on offense? Because the Supreme Court has recognized an individual right to bear arms, whether people like it or not. That is the jurisprudential holding of the court. And people have a right to have a weapon in their home for self-defense, just like they have that right for shooting and hunting. So starting with you, Congressman, how do you recognize that right, which, as I mentioned, is law, and then patrol what people say we saw in Las Vegas, which was not at home, which was a weapon of offense, a weapon of murder, a set of weapons that looked like something you would basically only need to commit felonious conduct, not to defend yourself. How do you, as a lawmaker, find that line?
I would say that the American people expect us to use common sense and to approach this in a very judicious way, take into consideration all the historical facts about the Second Amendment, and actually invoke laws that save the public health first. You know, the right to bear arms does not usurp the right to life under the Constitution, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So life is right there. And I think that that's what we should be looking at as a Congress, find common sense ground, things that we can agree with, and enact those laws.
And Mike, briefly.
Ari, the Second Amendment was written for muskets, okay? There's this notion that if you support any kind of gun control in this country, you're supporting the government coming up your driveway in a tank and coming to take your weapons. That's not what this is about. This guy owned enough guns to invade California. There's got to be a way to flag people like this.
And Congressman, I thank you. And Mike, if the NRA will come on the beat and talk to you about it, will you speak to an NRA representative about
Absolutely.
it? Okay.
I absolutely would.
And you would as well, Congressman?
Sure
that
would,
invite is out to the leadership of the NRA. As always, we like to have a lot of views on this show. Consider that an open invite. Thank you.